Yeah, we actually just talked about this in class at the multiverse school. Let's return to the model of hierarchical complexity. In the past, we discussed breaking down tasks into a hierarchy in Minsky's Society of Mind. This is actually a really coherent way of looking at tasks. The thing is, though, all tasks are composed of tasks that are one order of magnitude less complex than the tasks they compose into. There are 16 levels, but generally we care about 8 through 16. When you're working at higher level tasks, you're using different parts of your brain, and you're actually using more energy. Switching between levels of complexity rapidly is very tiring. Going from a series of level 8 tasks to other 8 tasks isn't quite as bad. And climbing 1 or 2 levels of complexity is not so bad. These levels are where the individual lines of code and simple structures arise. Functions with test harnesses is where you really get to about 11. This is why it's easy to go from function to function to function and write tests for them, but it's not easy to do these higher level tasks. Once you hit systematic, we're dealing with functions that have more than one input, or functions that use other functions. Metasystems are entire applications, and paradigms are things like schemas that fit multiple applications together. If you're creating a data model, you're operating at 14 or above. Recall that in order to rise in a level of complexity, we rise in an order of magnitude and not just some small arbitrary division. A lot of times we start at the top of the stack, forming things like the schema and then climbing down. This is why it's important to make plans. Once you get down here to the individual lines of code you have to write, you might be tired from the higher level task. You actually have to take a pause and switch gears into a sort of a different mode of operation as you climb down. Tasks like backlog grooming are largely paradigmatic because they require the analysis of metasystems, which is why most meetings take it out of you too much to immediately go back to coding afterwards. It's because you're at higher levels of abstraction largely when you're doing a group mind activity. Most of the time, these levels are not actually involved in software engineering. But when we create new subfields of engineering, such as chaos engineering or DevOps, this is what we're doing. We're engaging in cross-paradigmatic thinking. It is exhausting, and no, you cannot then cross a few tasks off your to-do list after you engage in these levels of thinking. So it's important to budget your high-level and low-level activities. You can only do so many of each in a day because they use up your brain juice. Instead, you want to batch plan. Pick the day on which you don't really want to do concrete tasks. That's the day you do all your planning. But that's another video.